Welcome to our media channel. Here we try to share wisdom in detail, in depth. If you feel some of the discussions to be inaccessible or unfamiliar, we invite you to go over to the Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll find much more universal wisdom. We also invite you to join our Wisdom That Breeds community, where we're gathering individuals who want to make the world a more beautiful place by sharing wisdom. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this afternoon, the topic is counter-intuition. That's what you wanted to speak about. Thinking differently. Well, let me begin with an experiment. There's a blue pen here and a black pen. Red pen. Which one do you want, blue or red?
I'll take red.
You'll take the red? 100% sure?
Well, there's no red in there.
No, it's red, trust me. Red, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Red or blue? What would you like?
Blue.
Blue. She's a devotee of Krishna. Red or blue? Red? Red or blue?
Blue.
Blue. Red or blue? Red? See what just happened there? Why did you choose red?
Because that's what I was thinking when you said and red. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll just choose red.
Okay. Good. Good to know how you think. What just happened there is I'm an influencer. We're all influencers. I influenced you to make a decision that you didn't necessarily have to make. You could have asked me, do I even need a pen in the first place? Or you could have asked me, what's the pen for? But you didn't. You just made a decision. And that's actually what all of us do in life. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that the first way in which materialistic civilization begins is by introducing an illusion which covers your ability to think. When you go into a cinema, what's the first thing that happens? Get your popcorn. Of course. Yes, the lights go out. That's the first thing that happens. Unless the lights go out, the show can't begin. And therefore, for the show of the material world to happen, the first thing that has to be annihilated is people's ability to think. People's ability to challenge. People's ability to say, why? But what the world does to you is it tells you, which one do you want to do? This or this? And you think, okay, I'll do this one. But the ones who are awake, the ones who are exercising their ability to think, they're the ones that step back and say, why? Maybe I don't need to make any of those decisions. So therefore, the first way in which spiritual life begins is by increasing your ability to think. Nowadays, most people don't really think because it takes too much effort. Therefore, we have Chat GPT. Because we don't really like to think. We don't really like to spend that energy to consider things. We just want to get things done. But there are 3 questions you can ask in your life. Why, how, and what? And which is the most important question to start with? Why? Start with why. But most of the world is only asking how and what. What means activities, how means strategy, but why means vision or purpose. But nowadays people don't ask why. They don't have vision, they don't have purpose. They just start getting into the strategy and the activities. I want this, I want to get that, I want to be there, I want to achieve this, I want to make sure my life is like this. But why? So therefore, like there was once an industrialist, he came to the Caribbean, Barbados. So he wanted to cross the river and there was a boatman there. So the boatman was on that, what do they call it, hammock? Is it? That where they sleep. So he was chilling out. Aram. He was happy. He said, hey, I need to get across. So the guy kind of, stumbled out of his hammock, he got into the boat, and the guy got in, and this kind of, this very established businessman, he said, what are you doing all day? He said, what do I need to survive just a little bit? I go from this side of the river to that side of the river. The businessman said, but why don't you buy one more boat? He said, what will I do? He said, you can employ one more person, you can double your revenue, and you'll get 15% more profit. And the man looked at him and he said, and then what will I do? He said, with 15% more profit, the next year you can invest in 2 more boats and you can get 4. And the man looked at him and said, and then what? He said, and then you can establish a company and you can get more branches in different parts. And he said, and then what? And then he said, you can float, you can go multinational. And he said, and then what? And then he said, you'll earn an incredible amount of money. And then he said, and then what? He said, and then you can retire. And he said, and then what? And then he said, you can come to the Caribbean and relax in a hammock. He said, Baba. In that moment, he realized the how and the what. We get so embroiled in doing things in the world that we don't take time to actually ask ourselves the question, why? So therefore, the Gita, how does the Vedanta Sutra begin? Atato Dhamma Jigyasa. First you have to ask a question only. But the problem is, the world tells us how our life should go, and then we don't question it anymore. And we think that's success. So therefore, counterintuition means to go against the way that the whole world is telling you life should go. To be brave enough to challenge. To be brave enough to do something different. To be brave enough and say, I don't want to just follow along like what everyone else is doing in the world. I need to ask myself the question, what will actually make me happy? What is actually the purpose of it all? Why am I here? So this is the whole purpose of spiritual life, but now people have become very lazy in thinking. What occurs once in a minute, once in an hour, but never in a second? The letter U. Simple. But you were thinking about an event because that's how your mind has been trained. But actually the answer is very simple, but you have to exercise your power to think differently. In the world they call this lateral thinking. Someone was going down the road the wrong way, but they weren't breaking the law. How is it possible? Don't say they were in India. How is it possible? Going down the road the wrong way. I mean, if you're reversing down you might get stopped by the police for that one. They were parking. Okay, that's a good one. They were walking. Why they were walking? I didn't say they were driving.
Wrong destination.
A cat fell out of a 30-story building and still survived. How is it possible? It fell out of the ground floor. We are from London. There's no first floor. Yes, I didn't say it. It fell out of the 30th floor. You assumed that. See, so in so many ways, we assume so many things in our mind because we haven't exercised our ability to think, to challenge. So actually, if you look in the world, the most successful people are often the people that learn to think differently from how everyone else is living their life. So there are different paradoxes. Like there are different things. Like say for example, a paradox of the world is the slower you go, the faster you can actually reach your destination. How's that possible? Yes, that's what Krishna actually says in the Bhagavad Gita. Because Krishna says passion means trying to do as many things as possible, trying to passionately overexert your energy. And Krishna says, if you only live in goodness and you just slow down a little bit more, then what you will get is more clarity, more focus, and you'll be more purposeful and impactful in what you're doing, and you'll actually reach your goal much quicker by just slowing down. So therefore, one paradox of the world could be, the slower you go, the faster you reach your destination. Another paradox of thinking could be, the more that you fail, the more likely you are to succeed. But in the world today, we're so scared about failure. Oh, what if I say something and I mess up? Or what if I try and then I don't do it? Everyone will laugh at me. Or what if I... So scared about failure. But actually, the people who fail more are the people who actually succeed more in their life. Because they don't see failure as a failure. Edison, he said, someone said, you failed 1,000 times before you invented the light bulb. And he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I was successful in finding 1,000 ways in which it doesn't work. That is counterintuitive thinking. And people who become completely okay with failure, yeah, it's okay. Now I'm one closer to a success. Those are the people that actually succeed more in their life. Not the people who are constantly like, no, what if it goes wrong? Another paradox of the world is the less you say, the more you influence. In the world, we think we have to just talk and talk and talk and say and speak and communicate so many things. And what you may not realize is that as we speak more and more, your ability to influence things actually declines. Krishna also says in the Gita, raise the volume of the words by raising the value of your words. It's not the amount of words that you put out there in the world that is going to measure how much influence and impact you have. But you raise the volume of your words by raising the value of your words. Therefore Krishna says, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat Svadhyaya abhyasanam cheva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Therefore, you have to know how to use your words. Use them wisely. Don't just... Socrates said, fools speak because they have to say something. Wise people speak because they have something to say. So nowadays, people just over-communicate unnecessarily, and it becomes more and more ineffective. You may have noticed how in an argument, as the words get louder, as the atmosphere gets more intense, less and less is going in the ears. That's why people have to raise their voice, even though they're right next to each other. Why do people shout when they're next to each other? Because nothing is going in. So you think you have to shout more. But you may actually say more by actually saying less. Therefore, another paradoxical way to approach life is the less you say, the more you communicate. Another paradoxical way to approach life is the more you think about death, the more meaningful your life becomes. Think about death. Once we were going to a funeral, so we came into the crematorium and then we parked the car. And then as we parked the car, there was a sea of graves. And as the devotee turned the engine off, the sat-nav said, "You have reached your final destination." Look, my God. Today the sat-nav is giving a Bhagavad Gita class. The more you think about death, the more meaningful your life becomes. Death comes, we see it, and then quickly we begin to move it out of our consciousness. At the crematorium, everyone is a philosopher. But the moment you leave, again, we live in obliviousness of our mortality. Therefore, Niti Shastra said there's 3 states of mind you should always carry with you. Number 1, the state of mind that you're in when you're sick. Then many thoughts come, this world miserable, this body miserable, everything miserable. Krishna, I only want you, I won't come back here again. Niti Shastra says you have to keep that state of mind when you're sick with you all the time. The other state of mind that you have to keep with you all the time is the state of mind you have while you're in a pravachan. In a pravachan, everything seems clear. Oh yes, this is so clear. This is what life is. Everything is fine. But then the moment we leave, again, back. And the third state of mind you must always keep with you all the time is how you feel in a crematorium, in a funeral, isn't it? You see, you walked past. Born 1912, died 2025. Oh my God. In that moment you realize, it's coming, death is around the corner. But then you forget again. Therefore, those, Krishna says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. Vyadi. Gujarati Vyadi. You know the word. It's interesting. In Sanskrit, Vyadi means old age. No, Jara means also Vyadi, disease. In Gujarati, it just means generally anxiety, isn't it? Vyadi. So Krishna says, Dukha doshanu darshanam. You have to see this all the time. That's depressing. I don't want to see all this all the time. No, it's not depressing. It's empowering. Empowering? Yes. It's empowering to know I'm only here for some time and then I'm going to have to leave it all behind and go. That's extremely empowering because you begin to look at life in a completely different way. When you know, just passing through, just here for some time. This world, just a transit lounge. Don't get stuck in the duty free and miss your flight.
We tell people it's okay to go to the duty free, you know, you can buy some things in the terminal, but don't start shopping so much that you forget to catch your flight. So like this, it's very counterintuitive. There are different ways of approaching life. So the Bhagavad Gita is basically a book which is meant to tell you not what to think. The Gita is not just a book telling you what to think. Because if that was true, then at the end of the Gita, Krishna wouldn't have told Arjuna, now you think. But that's what Krishna says to Arjuna at the end. Iti te jnanamakyatam guyat guyataram maya vimrashe tadasheshena yathechasi tatha guru. Think about it, reflect on it, analyze it. Think about it, and then yata ichcha, whatever is your desire, tatha kuru, that you do. It's up to you. Rishi means a great thinker. Rishi comes from the Sanskrit word drishya. Drishya means to see. So a rishi is literally one who is seeing things, but seeing things in a much deeper way. Therefore, the word rishi actually means a great thinker. Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna, become a rishi. Don't just be a Raja, be a Raja Rishi. Be a king, but be a saintly king. Be a thoughtful king. Be a king who sees beyond just the temporary things of this world. Be a king who thinks. So the whole Gita is meant to help us think differently about life. And if you look at every chapter of the Gita, Krishna basically teaches Arjuna a different way to look at life, different from what the world taught you in terms of how to look at life. Like anyone tell me a number between 1 and 18? 15? Okay. 15. 15th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says, Purushottam Yoga, Yoga of the Supreme Person. So what does Krishna say? The world teaches you, pursue your dreams. That sounds right. Krishna says, no. More exciting than to pursue your dreams is to find the reality. This is a counterintuitive way of thinking. I'll explain. In the 15th chapter, Krishna explains that this world is a reflection. It's a banyan tree, but the real form of the banyan tree is the spiritual world, and this world is only a reflection. This world is only a photocopy. This world is only a virtual reality. And therefore, Krishna says, most of the people are running around trying to find their dreams in the illusion. I want a house by the sea, a plasma TV, and USA permanent residency. So everyone's trying to pursue their dreams, and they think that's the goal of life. But Krishna says more exciting than pursuing your dreams in the reflection is if you find the reality of the spiritual world. Because in the material world, your expectations will always exceed your the reality. But the amazing thing is, in the spiritual world, the reality will always exceed your expectations. Therefore, even if you pursue your dreams, even if you fulfill your dreams, even if you're living the dream. I grew up in Wembley. If you knew what Wembley was, you would be laughing at that point. Whereas I was driving through walking through Wembley High Road, and there was a car. It was a Golf GTI, tinted windows, subwoofer in the back, playing the R&B music, lowered suspension, alloy wheels, convertible, and on the top, the person had the sign, "Living the Dream." But the amazing thing is, Krishna says in the 15th chapter, the whole world is trying to pursue their dreams in the material world, and they just get frustrated. Rather than that, if you really want to find happiness, more exciting is to find the reality of the spiritual world. And so the whole 15th chapter teaches you that pursuing your dreams in the material world is basically a waste of time. What? But I want to get a degree, I want to get a good job. No, by all means, do it. But don't think that will make you happy. You can do it. And you can use it for Krishna. And it can be very wonderful. But if you think that and that in itself is what will guarantee a happy life, wrong. So can you see, in every chapter, give me another number between 1 and 18. 9? Okay, 9. Let's take 9. 9 is entitled The Most Confidential Yoga, Raja Guhya. Yeah. Oh, very good. Yes, it's called The Most Confidential Knowledge. And Krishna says many, many confidential things here. But he talks about the essence of what love is. The world teaches you, ask God for what you want. Of course, that's what we do, right? We come and we ask. God, I know I'm a sinner, but make me a winner. That's what we do, right? We go to God and we ask for things. No. Krishna says in the 9th chapter, don't ask God for what you want, but why don't you try to give God what He wants? Really? Yes. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yes, same principle. It's such a simple point. We come before God with a shopping list. We come before God with so many expectations. We come before God with so much that we want, when we don't realize that the greatest thing we can have is love. And where does love come from? Giving, serving, sacrificing for God. And so Krishna says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Upaditam Ashnami Prayatat Manaha. Just give me with love, without asking for anything. So many demands. How would you like it if someone, every time they met you, they just asked for something? Probably know people like that. It's annoying, like after some time you think, I don't even want to see this person. Krishna is so kind that even though we do that, He's still ready to see us. If you really want to confuse Krishna. If you really want to confuse Krishna, then come to Krishna and don't ask for anything. Because Krishna is standing in front of you, he's like, what do you want? No, nothing. No, what do you want? No, I don't want anything. He's like, I have to give you something. I said, as they surrender, I reward them. I have to give you something. No, I don't want anything. He says, there's nothing that you want? No. Then what is Krishna? What does He have to do? Then He gives Himself. Napareham Niravadya samyujam svasadu krityam vibudayusha piva yama bhajan durjara geha shrinkhala samvrishta tadva pratiyatu sadhana. Krishna looks at the gopis and he said, you made me contradict my own words. Why? Because you said in the Gita, ye yatha mam prapadyante, as they surrender to me, I'll reward them accordingly. Krishna says, the way you've surrendered to me with no expectation, napareham. I have nothing. I have nothing to give you. I can't repay you. Even in the lifetime of Brahma, you made me contradict my words. Yes, this is love. So you can conquer God. Possible. Jai Shri Shri Gaurannitai ki. Shri Ji ki. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki. So like this, every chapter of the Gita is teaching you a different way to approach life. Let's do one more. Give me another number. 7. The one who wanted the red pen. All right, 7. 7 is a very interesting chapter. It's the beginning of the Bhakti chapters. But the interesting thing is the very first chapter of the Bhakti chapters is called Vijnana Yoga, knowledge of the Absolute. That's interesting. The first of the Bhakti chapters is about knowledge. And what's the very first verse of the 7th chapter? Maya Shaktamana Partha Yogam Yunchan Madashraya Asamsayam Samagramam Yathegya Sasi Tachranu. The whole world is saying, let me see God and then I'll believe in Him. Krishna is saying, first hear about me and then you'll be able to see me. See, people don't get this point. Like say for example, is Hasmukh Jogia in this room? I had to say a Gujarati name. Yes or no? Yes or no? No. Are you sure?
Yes.
You're definitely 100% sure that Hasmukh Jogia is not in this room?
Yes.
How are you so sure?
Because big celebrity property.
But you don't know everyone in this room. And do you know Hasmukh Jogia? Do you know who he is?
Well, I know that he's really famous, that's why.
You know he's really famous. Wow. You know more about him than me. Basically, you can't answer the question, is Hasmukh Jogia in this room? Because you don't know who it is. They might be sitting right next to you and you have no idea because you don't know who they are. Therefore, the first thing you need to do to answer that question, is Hasmukh Jogia in the room, is you need to know something about who that person is. And then you'll be able to identify them. Now, the amazing thing about atheistic people is that they say God doesn't exist in this world, but they don't know who God is. So if you don't know who God is, if you don't know how He functions, if you don't know what He looks like, if you don't know how He manifests Himself in the world, how in the world are you going to be able to prove one way or another that He exists? It makes no sense. Therefore, Krishna says, Tachranu. First hear about Krishna. And then, if you hear about Krishna, then maybe you'll be able to find Krishna. Because you'll know who you're looking for. So therefore, anyway, I won't go on a rant about atheism, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, I give you another logical inconsistency of atheism. Atheists say there's no God. Definitely no God. Who's God? God is one who knows everything. So my philosophy as an atheist is that there is no one in this world who's omniscient, who knows everything. So the very next thing you need to ask an atheist is, are you one of the people in this world? Yes. And you're saying nobody in this world knows everything? Yes. So if nobody in this world knows everything, then how can you say 100% sure that God doesn't exist? The best you can be is an agnostic. You can't be an atheist because it's logically, philosophically inconsistent. Because your very premise contradicts your conclusion. Therefore, you first on one hand say nobody in the world knows everything. There's nobody who's omniscient. And then at the very next step you make a statement which is so absolute. So it doesn't make sense. Anyway, atheism is just a bad philosophy. It's logically inconsistent. Not only that, it has no explanatory value. It doesn't actually explain anything about the world. It just tells you everything is chance. A philosophy is meant to explain things. Atheism doesn't explain anything. It just tells you everything is chance. And the third reason why atheism is just bad philosophy is because it's not inspirational. It actually gives you no higher impetus to do anything in this world, because the basic philosophy of atheism is that you're matter, and then everything becomes matter again, and in the middle somehow or other you can just talk and move, but ultimately everything matter and therefore nothing matters. Highly inspirational, isn't it? So as a philosophy, it has no explanatory power, it has no inspirational power, and even on top of that is logically inconsistent. Anyway, that was my little rant against atheism. So like this, Krishna says, think differently. Don't ask the question, I want to see God and then I'll believe in Him. Krishna says, no, not a good approach. First, tachrunu. What is the translation of that verse? Now, hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, am I doing it right? You can know me without doubt. Something.
In full. You can know me certainly without
Doubt. There you go. But Krishna says, now, hear, tachrunu. Therefore, the Vedic principle is, ase shrutachito nanuna tapumsham. You see Krishna through the ears. If you don't hear Krishna's words, if you don't read Bhagavad Gita, there's no way you can see Krishna. Because Krishna is made accessible through the ears by hearing about Him. So like this, one by one, if you look at every chapter of the Gita, Krishna is basically saying, don't just be a sheep. Once I did it, we won't do it today, I asked everyone together to make the sound of a sheep. We won't do it together. But once we did it in a room and it was very scary. It's very scary if many people come together who are not thinking, but who are just blindly following. And shall I tell you the more scary thing? It's not just people out there who don't think. The scarier thing is you can come to the Hare Krishna movement and still not think. We just follow blindly. So Krishna says, this path, you have to think deeply about everything that's being said and be ready to look at the world in a different way. That is actually real spiritual life, not just to follow along. All right, is that the correct time? 3:40? All right, maybe I'll stop here, not go on and on and on, and maybe see whether you might have some questions or if there's something more you would like to ask. I'm thinking. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for your association. First of all, it means a lot. How do I find the reality of the spiritual?
How do you find the reality of the spiritual world? Krishna consciousness is the art of desiring. Human beings are ingenious living entities. When they have a desire, they know how to make it happen. Therefore, if you read the 6th verse of the 15th chapter of the Gita, Krishna is explaining what is the spiritual world. Natad bhashayate suryo nashashanko napavaka yadgatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, talking about the spiritual world, one should be captivated by the information of the spiritual world. One should be captivated. One must hear about the spiritual world, and one must become so enchanted, so inspired, so enlivened. And then Prabhupada says, and then one should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from the false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to the material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. So how do you find the spiritual world? You have to want it. Do you want it? Yeah? Do you really want it?
Yes.
I give you two options. Option number one. You can achieve everything you want to achieve in your life. Your kids will grow up, they'll do amazing, they'll make you proud. You can have a wonderful retirement. You can have everything you want. And then you can peacefully leave this world and at the end of this life go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Option one. Do you need to hear option two? It's like, I'll take it, you know. No, let me tell you option two. Option two. Let's go now. Now. Now, this moment, to Goloka Vrindavan. All of you are saying. Who wants, remember in option one, you're also going back. Who wants option one? Put your hand up. And everyone who didn't put your hand up, we have a seminar for you on truthfulness. Nobody is ready to go now. I shouldn't say nobody. Maybe there's some great soul in the room. Say, Krishna, you know, mode of goodness. No need to do things so passionately. No? I'm coming. Let me just wrap up a few things here, sort a few things out, you know.
Slow is better.
Nokri. And then I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'm on my way, Krishna. I'm on my way. No. When you can say without a shadow of a doubt, if Krishna brings down the plane now and tells me to go, I have no reservations. I have no bitterness. I have nothing here left to worry about. If Krishna wants it, I'm ready to go. The moment you can say that, then you can say you actually want to go to the spiritual world. Prabhupada was in London and in the middle of a lecture, someone stood up and said, "Can you see Krishna?" Prabhupada said, "Yes." And then Prabhupada looked at the person and said, "Can't you see Krishna?" And he said, "No." Prabhupada looked at him and said, "Do you want to see Krishna?" And in that moment, there was pin drop silence in the room. Everyone looked at that person and he looked down and he said, "No, I don't want to see Krishna." Prabhupada said, "Therefore you cannot see Krishna. Because we don't want it." No, I want. No. Let's see. Let's see what decisions you make in your life. Let's see where you put your time, your energy, your effort, your resource. Then let's see if you want Krishna. So therefore, in our life, we wanted to achieve so many things, we figured it out. Many of you came from another country, you came to the USA, the land of opportunity, and you made it happen. Amazing achievement, because you had a desire. Many of you brought children up. My Dandavat pranams to you. That required so much sacrifice, but you did it because you wanted to do it. When you want to do it, when you put your mind to it, and when you put your effort and energy into it, you can do anything. Where there's a will, there's a relative. No. Where there's a will, there's a way. So we tend to overcomplicate Krishna consciousness, like what is the route back to the spiritual world? Is it a right here, a left here, and then you have to go there, and then what's the route? What's the actual route? No. You just have to want to go there. That's it, finished. Bust. Oh no, I do want to go there. No, we don't. That's the problem. So therefore, Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is so simple, you may just miss it. It's so simple. All you have to do is want to love Krishna. But it's so hard because we have so many desires. Kamanam ridya samroham. When the Shingadev came to Prahlad Maharaj, he said, you can ask for any benediction. Wow. And what was Prahlad Maharaj's reply? Yadida syasi me kaman varamscha vadadarshaba kamanam ridya samroham bhavatastu vrinei varam. He said, if you really want to give me a benediction, give me the benediction that all the material desires within the core of my heart that are binding me to this world, may those material desires disappear. Yeah, try it out. See what happens. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going a bit OTT. But I think, so it's all a desire. Just desire. Simple. Krishna is more eager for us to come back to the spiritual world than we are. Krishna is waiting. All right. Yeah, Gopal.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. So, in most cases when people come to Krishna consciousness, we find that there is some sort of hook that brings them in, either it's chanting or prasadam or something along those lines. I found it to be very rare that someone comes to Krishna consciousness on the basis of pure philosophy. Obviously, the philosophy has to complement some sort of hook that usually chanting or prasadam is in my experience. You've had a lot of preaching experience, Maharaj. If you can give some anecdote of a case where someone was primarily convinced on the basis of philosophy, or like intellectually convinced. Obviously, there's some hook, but that would be very insightful to hear for some, just any anecdotes you have about someone who's convinced primarily on the basis of philosophy.
You see, we are continuing our journey from previous lives. To be continued, ... So we're continuing on. So actually, there are individual souls, I've seen that, who are coming to Krishna consciousness on the basis of they got all their answers, they got all their doubts removed, the philosophy made sense. But Krishna consciousness is a package. It's not just philosophy, it's community. It's also an opportunity for service, for contribution, for adventure. And so, like in the Bhakti Center, the Bhakti schools, is it Bhakti school, yes. Like that, you guys have all these posters, like come for the content, what is it? Like, come for the content, stay for the community, right? Am I right? Is how I run here? Or yeah, you guys right now? That's how you call it, right? Like come for the content, stay for the community, or something like that. I've seen the posters. So it's kind of like that. Yeah, people will come for the philosophy, it makes sense. But then the whole package of Krishna consciousness is actually what makes someone stay. Sometimes people ask me, why did you become a monk? And there's only 3 reasons. I was looking for a life in which I could have authenticity, answers, and adventure. Authenticity meant I wanted to wake up in the morning and feel like I'm not playing a role, like this is who I am, this is what I do. Answers means I wanted answers. I wanted to know what is it all about? What's going on here? And adventure, yeah, what to say? We wanted to do something in this world which is kind of meaningful. So anyway, the Hare Krishna movement fulfilled my desires. So yeah, we all have questions, but you're right. In this day and age, most people are not philosophical. So most people, their entrance point is not philosophy. Most people's entrance point is prashadam. Basically, people don't come out of rationality. Most people come more out of emotionality. So therefore, we have to. This is how cults work. It's called love bombing. Make someone feel really nice. Community. But the point I'm making here today is, in the Sandarbha, as Jiva Goswami explains, there are different types of faith. One type of faith is known as Lokika Shraddha. This is also known as I forgot the other name for it. Anyway, Lokika Shraddha means a worldly faith. A faith where you're following out of tradition. A faith where you're following just because it was what you grew up with. A faith that you're following because if you don't follow it, then the people around you will kind of look at you a bit weird. But he says this kind of Lokika Shraddha will not take one to Krishna Prema. Lokika Shraddha has to turn into Shastriya Shraddha. Or, he says, Svabhaviki Shraddha. In other words, a type of faith which is not based on tradition, culture, or upbringing, but a type of faith which is based on deeply understanding what is this life? What is this world about? Why am I here? What will actually make me happy? Deeply. And in order to develop that kind of faith, you have to ask questions. Nowadays, people don't ask questions. Apart from, you ask the question. Sometimes I think we give people all the answers, but we're giving the answers to people who aren't asking the question. And therefore the answers go about an inch deep. Only when someone is sitting in this room, deeply asking the question, why am I here? Then, when someone gives the answer, it actually goes in. Therefore, normally we glorify the answers. But in the Bhagavatam, they glorify the questions. Manaya saduprishtoham bhavadbir lokamangalam yatkrita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. O sages, your questions are amazing because lokahitam, they're for the benefit of the world, and simultaneously yena atma suprasidati, they can bring about real satisfaction of the soul. So they're glorifying the questions, but nowadays people don't ask questions anymore because we're not thinking. Therefore, the only question is like, what time is Prashad? No, I'm joking. Not you, of course. I'm just. So yes. Oh, you got a question? Amazing. Yes, go for it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Take it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Sunarpram, Vishwapadaya. Very nice lecture. I liked what you were saying about slower will take you to the destination faster. It's like, when there's a mountain and then small drops are falling. If you look after years, it becomes a dent. But rather, if you just have a waterfall, it might just wash out the stone. So it's really nice.
Thank you.
And I also like the point where you said you have to think and that's spirituality. Because when we don't think, then it's not really spirituality. So my question is regarding that most of the spirituality is really in a sense essential requirement for spirituality is humility. And as you talked about in many of the lectures. So how am I supposed to do humility in my life and apply it?
Wow. Training these kids. Thank you so much. Yeah, humility. Amanitvam adambitvam. Krishna says in the 13th chapter that knowledge begins with humility. Socrates said, my wisdom is that I know I don't know. The moment you sit in front of a speaker, or you open a book and you're kind of like, I know it, that pride, then you can't learn anything. So yes, you must be humble. So therefore a devotee cultivates humility. So what does it mean to be humble? That's your question, isn't it? What does it mean to be? How do you know if you're humble? How do you know if you're humble? A humble person inside of them has 3 mentalities. You can do a measure. Mark yourself out of 10. Mentality number 1. I am not the doer. I'm not doing anything. Krishna is doing everything. I'm simply the instrument. If I achieve something, if I gain something, if I'm glorified for something, a humble person knows I didn't do any. Krishna did it. I'm just the instrument. And therefore, the first way in which you know you're humble is because you know deeply, I'm not the doer. The second way you know you're humble is because deep inside of you, the second mentality will be, I don't deserve. Normally we go in front of Krishna, we have so many expectations, we have so many demands. But a humble person, because they look at their life and realize how much Krishna has given to them, they're so humbled by that they look in their life and they feel, I don't deserve anything more. I've received way more than I deserve. And therefore I don't deserve. Therefore the humble devotees, they have no expectations. They know whatever comes, it's all Krishna's grace. And the third way you'll know if you're humble is that deep inside of you, you'll understand deeply, I am a das. I'm a servant. In every situation, a humble person is always thinking, how can I serve in this situation to make the situation better? Not how can I control, not how can I exploit, not how can I enjoy, but how can I use this to serve? And therefore, you know someone is humble because they will know deeply, I'm not the doer, I don't deserve, and I am a das. Is that okay?
Thank you. And please also forgive me for all my offenses if I come.
For that, the fees have gone up. I'm only joking. No offense, you're doing great. Keep going. All right. Is 2 minutes.
Right. Just on the point of desiring to go back to the spiritual world. Even that, is that not a little bit of a passionate desire to go there, or to deserve that we can really, we're qualified to go back to the spiritual world? Is it possibly better to try and say, hey, what can we do? And if we really can become Krishna conscious here, then is there a need to go back to the spiritual world?
Yeah, should we desire to go back to the spiritual world? Well, I already read you the purport from Prabhupada, and he did say, one should be captivated by the information of the spiritual world, and one should desire to go back to the spiritual world. There's a stage in Krishna consciousness where we are not pure devotees, and therefore the thought of being in the spiritual world with Krishna, where every step is a dance, where every word is a song, where every day is a festival, and where every meal is a feast. The last one I added on. Extra inspiration. On Ekadashi, yeah. Ekadashi inspiration. There's a stage of Krishna consciousness where that becomes a very positive meditation, which helps us to be more serious. Yes, one day I can be out of this place. I can be out of the place where all these shocking, terrible material world is a disaster zone. I can be in a place where all of that, free from all of that. But what will happen is that along the journey, one will actually realize, hang on. What is the spiritual world? Naham tistami vaikunthe yoginam hridayeshu va tatra tistami narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. Krishna says, I'm not only situated in Vaikuntha, I'm not only situated in the hearts of the yogis, yatra gayanti madbhakta. Wherever my devotees are chanting, I am in that place. So what will happen is at a certain point along the journey, one will realize, actually, I'm already in the spiritual world. Because I have seva and I have sangha. If I can be in a place where I have seva and I have sangha, it's already Vaikuntha. But that requires some advancement. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmanishvare bhavatad. Who can come to that point? That is very high. So until we come to that point, it's a positive spiritual desire to try to want to go back to the spiritual world. And some way along that endeavor, when Krishna's mercy descends, we'll actually realize, you know what? Krishna is here. Krishna never takes a step out of Vrindavan. And if your mind and your heart become Vrindavan, Mora Mana Vrindavana, Mahaprabhu says, my mind has become Vrindavan, then you realize Krishna is already there. No problem. Alright? So I think we have I see more hands, but I think anyway 5 o'clock. Then we can just continue with Q&A, whatever anyone wants to ask. So thank you. Apologies if I said anything wrong. Sometimes I get a bit overexcited and my examples, jokes might be a bit borderline, so understand my bhav. I'm just a limited soul. Not that I've realized any of these things, but just trying together we can inspire each other. So thank you so much. Always wonderful to be with you. Wish you the best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.